There's a question I've been sitting with lately, one that keeps me up at night, but in the best possible way. It's uncomfortable and clarifying all at once. And it's this: what would matter if you knew? What would matter if you knew you had less time than you think? What would rise to the surface? What would fall away? Because here's what I'm learning, and what maybe we're all learning if we're paying attention. And that is, most of us are living like we have infinite tomorrows, when the truth is we have more sand in the bottom of the hourglass than at the top. I know that it sounds heavy, but just stay with me, because this episode isn't about fear. This is about waking up. Welcome back to Straight Talk with Abby. This is part 4 of my 4-part series called Peace in the Chaos. As we wrap up the year, it's only natural to reflect where this year took us, where we grew, where we feel that we fell short, and perhaps leaving us with a few what ifs, such as the one I'm highlighting today. And that is, what if we don't have as much time as we think? Would we change how we are living? Let's get into it. We spend so much of our lives in this strange holding pattern, don't we? Like waiting for the right moment, waiting for things to calm down, waiting for permission, for certainty, for the stars to align and give us that sign. We tell ourselves we'll start living fully when we lose the weight, when we get the promotion, when we find our perfect partner, when the kids are older, when we have more money, when things finally settle down. Well, I'm almost 52, and I know now things never settle down, right? There's always one more thing coming. Life does not pause for our readiness. And all that waiting, it's costing us something we can never get back. Think about how much energy you've spent this year on things that, in the grand scheme of your life, won't even register as a footnote. The anxiety over what someone thought of you, the stress about being perfect, the sleepless nights replaying conversations that everyone else has already forgotten. The resentment you've been nursing like it's keeping you warm when really it's just keeping you from moving forward. Stress and anxiety aren't just inconvenient feelings we have to manage. They're thieves. They're stealing the gift of a joyful life right out from under us, moment by moment, day by day, if you let it. They can convince us that worrying is the same as caring, that being constantly on edge is the same as being responsible. But it's not. It's just exhausting, and it's keeping us from actually living. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine you're at the end of your life, looking back. What do you think you'll remember? That your email inbox was never quite empty? The weight you carried about not being enough, the grudges that you held on to? Or will you remember the morning light that comes through your kitchen window while you're sipping on your coffee in peace, the sound of someone you laughing so hard that they snorted, and the feelings of being fully present for a conversation that mattered, the courage it took to try something that scared you? You already know the answer. Because life is precious, even the hard parts, especially the hard parts, because they're teaching us something, shaping us into who we're meant to become. But we miss it when we are so focused on managing our stress and controlling every outcome that we forget to actually be here. I think a lot of people have lost their fire, not because you're not capable or strong, but because we've been living in survival mode for so long that we have forgotten what it feels like to actually thrive. We have forgotten what we wanted before we started worrying about what everyone else expected. And we've forgotten what lights us up, what makes us come alive, what we do if we weren't so afraid of getting it wrong. But what if 2026 could be different? Not because circumstances magically change and we start living in a world of kumbaya and rainbows and unicorn spit, none of that stuff, but because you change. What if this is the year you stop postponing your life? What if this is the year you decide that peace isn't something you earn after you've achieved enough or fixed enough or become enough, but something you choose right now in the middle of all of the mess? Because here's what I know is that the people who live with the most purpose aren't the ones who have it all figured out. They're the ones who decided that life is too short to spend it at war with themselves and the world around them. They're the ones who looked at their one precious life and said, I'm not wasting another day on things that don't matter. So what would matter if you knew? If you really knew deep in your bones that your time here is limited and sacred? Maybe you'd stop waiting for permission to take up space. Maybe you'd have that hard conversation that you've been avoiding. Maybe you'd forgive someone, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free. Maybe you'd start that thing you've been thinking about for years. Maybe you'd spend less time trying to be impressive and more time being present. Maybe you'd let yourself rest without guilt. Maybe you'd love more openly, even though you know you could get hurt. Maybe you'd worry less about looking foolish and care more about feeling alive. The gift of rest I talked about during this series, that's part of this. Your body being a gift that I talked about during this series, not being a problem, that's part of this too. Because living with purpose isn't about doing more. It's about being more intentional with what you already have. It's about treating your life like it matters every day, because it does. And you don't need to have it all together to start living like your life is precious. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions, because guess what? They're never coming. You just need to decide that today matters, that this moment matters, and that you matter too. So as we stand on the edge of a new year, I want you to feel something. Not just think about it, but feel it. The weight of possibility, the invitation to live differently, the permission to let go of what's been holding you back and step into who you're supposed to become. What if 2026 is the year you get your fire back? Not the frantic, burn the candle at both ends kind of fire, but the steady, warm, peaceful, excited about your life giving kind. The kind that lights your path and keeps you warm and reminds you why you're here. You're not promised tomorrow. None of us are. But you have today. And what you do with today, how you show up, and what you choose to focus on, who you choose to be in the midst of hard things, that's everything. So I'll ask you one more time. What would matter if you knew? Listen to that answer. It's telling you something so true about who you are, who you want to be, and what you're here to do. And then with whatever strength you have, with whatever time you have left, live like it matters, because it does. You do. And there's still time to make it count. Thanks for listening to Straight Talk with Abby. If this episode hit you where you needed it, here's what I want you to do. First, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Transformation is contagious, and you never know who's waiting for exactly this message. Second, if you're ready to stop starting over and start becoming the unstoppable version of yourself, I've got something for you. My audiobook, Your Breakthrough Era, Unstoppable Starts Here, is now available on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon. It's the deeper dive into everything we talk about here. And if you're ready to go all in on your fitness transformation, check out my program, Unstoppable 2.0, my 12-week program that combines fitness, mindset, and identity work to help you become who you're meant to be. You can find all the details at yourfitnesscheck.com. Remember, your breakthrough era doesn't start when you feel ready. It starts when you decide you're ready. I'll see you next time for more Straight Talk. Until then, keep breaking through.